welcome to my channel. I did YouTube a few years ago, but I wasn't consistent with it. That was mainly about lifestyle, mental health, all of that. But I've come back on here to talk about my writing journey because I've always been a writer, and I feel like it's important for me to share that journey from me, hopefully, intermediate stage to becoming successful. So I wanted to document that. I thought it'd be really exciting, but also to document my reading journey because I am somebody who loves to read. I adore reading, and obviously as a writer, reading's part and parcel with that. And I wanted to show my journey to finding really great books because I feel like I struggle to find good books, and it's really annoying. And maybe it's because I don't really know myself very well, and so I don't really know what I like to read very much. But this is again a way for me to document how to find a really good 5-star read. I have read some books this year that were pretty good. I would almost call them 5 stars. I think I might have called them 5 stars, but they're not quite there. They're more like 4.5. So what is a 5-star read anyway? The first bit of criteria for me that would make a 5-star read would be a book that pulls me in straight away. I know that this is a hard ask because a lot of stories need that time for you to set the world or to build upon who the characters are, but sometimes someone's writing just gets you straight away, doesn't it? And you're like, right, I'm in, I'm sucked in, I'm here for it. And that gets me excited straight away. Because I'm somebody who knows how many books I've got to read, I feel overwhelmed, and I feel like if a book doesn't grip me straight away, then I'm wasting my time. And it's like, well, this book is not going to be good, so I need to just scrap it and read another one. And so if it can pull me in straight away, that's already setting me up to give it a 5-star. My next bit of criteria for a 5-star read would be a book that has really great characters. So I am somebody who likes character-based stories, character-driven stories. A book that's just plot and nothing else will not suck me in as well, unless maybe the world is really amazing that I just can't ignore it. But the characters need to be really good for me. I need characters that feel real. I don't even have to like them necessarily because they might not be like me, that's fine. But if they feel like a real person, or the decisions that they make are really logical, and they're somebody who I'm rooting for, like I'm excited for their journey, I want them to succeed, I want to go on this place with them, that makes me excited. Because obviously if it's a character that you don't really care about, they're a bit flat, they don't have any relationships, nothing about them feels exciting or real, or they're not flawed in any way, then you don't really care about their journey. You don't care if they're going to succeed and beat the bad guy or not. In fact, you might root for the bad guy if they sound more interesting. So, and that is actually a good point. Like, I like a good villain in a story. So a story that's not just, oh, we gotta face the bad guy who's bad to be bad and that's it. Like, that story isn't just, it doesn't have any real foundations, any real plot, and as a writer that makes me be like, something's a bit pointless here. Instead, the villain needs to be just as fleshed out as any other character. They need to have a reason for what they're doing. They need to be going on an emotional journey themselves, and then the reason why the hero is against this villain, specifically this hero and specifically this villain, needs to be clear. So those things help me to be like, okay, this is a 5-star read because I understand the dynamics between these characters. I understand why these characters are involved. I'm really interested in this character, this hero, their flaws, why they want to go on this journey, why they feel such resolve to beat the villain or whatever genre it is, why they're pulled into this narrative, and I want to feel the emotion behind that. So I guess point number 3 would be emotion. I love to cry. I'm a big crier. If a book makes me cry, it's probably going to be a 5 stars. If it makes me laugh, it's going to be a 5 stars. It needs to make me feel something. I don't want to be reading it and it's like, that's interesting, that's cool. Anyone can come up with an idea that's interesting or cool, but can you make me feel something? Can you tug on my heartstrings? That's what I really want. I want a story that connects to me on a personal level. And obviously an author doesn't know what's going to connect with an individual person, but if they're writing something from their own point of view that's really emotional and really true, then it's going to connect with other people. That's what I believe about my own writing. So I need a story that's going to be like about somebody struggling against the world feels like it's against them, they're struggling against people, maybe they don't fit in, they've got like the found family trope going on to find that place where they belong finally, find their identity finally. Those things are really emotional and really beautiful for me as a reader, and as a writer I want to bring that into my stories as well. I think that the 4th thing would be a world that feels real, really interesting, unique and expansive, but without being overwhelming and too exposition-y. So if your world building is too much, too grand, you're being told every 10 seconds about, oh, in this part of the world they do this, in this part of the world they do that, and the magic system is over here, and the politics and the governors, and it's like, oh, it's too much. That, even if it's interesting, if it's too much and it takes away from what the character is going through and how the character feels about the world, you've lost me. So instead, I need a world that feels that big, but you're weaving it into the narrative in such an interesting way that I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Like, oh my God, this is awesome. And I think maybe that's what's so great about Harry Potter, is that you have a very big wide world without feeling like J.K. Rowling's just telling you everything about it all the time, and you get to feel it through Harry as he discovers it. And obviously you've got different characters who are placed there on purpose, so like Ron Weasley, for example, who's a wizard who's grown up in the wizarding world, so he knows about all that. And then you've got Hermione, who's a reader, who knows about all that, so they offer an insight into the world without being too in your face. And again, the character dynamics between those guys makes it fun and playful, and you go along with the journey and they feel real whilst you're immersed in a world that's really interesting and a magic system that's really interesting. So that really gets me. And then the last thing that I would say is that I think that I'm enjoying more of a genre mix. So I think that fantasy that's just cut and dry, like hero goes on an adventure, person realizes they have powers, they join the world, they defeat a villain, that's it. Like, I think that doesn't really work for me as a reader. I love watching that, I'll always love watching that, but as a reader I think that maybe that doesn't quite get me, unless maybe it's a short fast book, or maybe if it's middle grade, because the younger ones tend to be more like whimsical and fun and playful, so that has a nice element to it for me. But I think that doesn't grip me enough. Instead, I like things that feel like more of a genre mix. So like if it's fantasy but it's thriller as well, or it's fantasy dark academia, or it's fantasy and it's more of a low fantasy and it's more about the characters and how they interact with each other, and the fantasy elements are just in the background. So I do really love fantasy, and I write fantasy, by the way, but I'll talk about that in another video. So I do love fantasy, but it doesn't need to be the conventional standard fantasy, like, you know, your Tolkien and your Harry Potter, like just that. Like, I love Harry Potter, I always love Harry Potter, but Harry Potter's in a whole other class of its own. It's the exception, not the rule, alongside Percy Jackson as well. But yeah, so I think I like something that's has a bit more to it. And what I'm kind of learning is that I love to read books that are more contemplative and reflective and emotional. I think because I'm an emotional person and somebody who likes to think, I'm very introspective, I like to journal and everything, I think that I like to read that because it's like I'm inside someone else's mind, and I get to connect with the character because they're talking more reflectively, and that feels really interesting to me. And like the way that they are maybe struggling with their mental health, or they don't really know what's right and what's wrong, what's real and what's not, like that's really interesting to me. So books like Bunny was really interesting, although it was crazy and absurd and a bit confusing at times. I did enjoy it because it had the dark academia and it had the potential like magical realism, and it was very contemplative as well. I've enjoyed books like Everybody in This Room Is Going to Die, I think that's what it's called. I might be butchering the title, but I'll put a picture of it up in here. I've liked that because it's more contemplative. I'm spacing on more right now, but I will do a video on books that I've read that I feel are almost 5 stars. I'll do a video on that. But yeah, I think that's something that I'm really interested in. So if you have any book recommendations off the top of your head that fit all the criteria that I've given you today, then please share. But yeah, this channel I think is going to be about my writing journey, my reading journey, and any little life updates along the way. I don't want it to be too like serious. I just want to come on here, talk to you guys about books that I like, about what I'm writing and how I'm feeling about it, and about anything in my life that feels important to share. And that's it. So if you find it interesting to listen to somebody who's not a big booktuber, who doesn't read 100 books a year, somebody who's just trying to find the love of their life in the form of a book, then this is for you. If you're somebody who's a writer as well, then and you want to have somebody who helps you go on the journey of writing and not feel alone, and have some tips and tricks of what helps me be a writer, then this is for you. But yeah, that's it from me, and thank you for watching. If you do find this interesting, please subscribe, and don't forget to like it and share it with your friends. Bye guys, I'll speak to you next week.